everybody, and welcome. This time I'm going to call our regular scheduled meeting to order, and I'm going to turn the floor over to our superintendent, Dr. Gladney.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to say good evening, board. Good evening to the folks that are here with us at the Fannin County Board of Education office, as well as those folks who are watching us online elsewhere on Rebel TV. We'd like to welcome you to this meeting as well, and we thank you for being a part of it. Mr. Chair, this Saturday, September 11th, is Patriot Day. And Patriot Day is recognized by U.S. law as the official day of remembrance for the nearly 3,000 men, women, and children who were killed in the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. At this time, I'd like for everybody to please stand. And if you would please join me in a moment of silence to honor and to remember the fallen.
Let's pray. I kind of love having all of you come to be once again today, God. We thank you for this day that you give us. Lord, we pray, God, that we've been found within that your house today, that you would place. We ask that you continue to watch over us, Lord. Lay God and direct us the way you see fit. Lord, we pray for our superintendent. We pray for our board members. Pray, God, that you just give them the wisdom and knowledge and understanding, the leadership that you see fit for our staff and our students, Lord, as we go from day to day that you let us have. Lord, we pray for our leaders of this country. We pray for our nation. Lord, we pray for the viruses that we deal with each and every day. Lord, we know they're bad. We know that you're in charge and you're in control and you put all things in your hands. God, we ask that you just go with us through this meeting. Give them see fit and knowledge and have the words you give them today. Lord, we thank you for everything. I ask that you just continue to go with us, be with us, guide us, get some get your glory and honor out of it. Because we know that you pray.
Amen. At this time for the pledge, I'm going to ask Fannin County High School Principal Dr. Scott Ramsey if he'd come up front and lead us.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsey. You may be seated. Mr. Chair, our next item on the agenda is item number 4, and it's to approve the consent agenda. So we'll go ahead and look at that as two parts. The first part is to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, and the second part, B, is to approve minutes from the past meeting. Mr. Inslee, if you go ahead and open those up from August 12th, 2021, and go ahead and scroll through. Thank you, Mr. Inslee. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Can the chair have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Our next item is actually a special recognition, and I'm going to ask for that. Mr. Ruth, if you'll come up front. Mr. Ruth, if you would share with the board about Georgia accrediting. Tell them about it.
So what we have here, these are our certificates, our annual certificates from the Georgia Accrediting Commission that where all of our schools and our school system as a whole were deemed accredited with quality from this institution. Now this year we do have our on-site visit that's going to happen on October 5th and October 6th. But our preliminary data has allowed us to go ahead and have these certificates to issue again to our school system as a whole and also to each of our 5 schools.
All right, thank you so much. So we have a certificate to present to the district.
Yes, sir.
And I'll take the certificates. This is the one for the Fannin County School District, and we will present that in just a moment. If you want to go ahead, and there's principal certificates for each of the schools.
All right, so first off, we'll start with Dr. April Hodges and Blue Ridge Elementary School. And principals, as I bring you up here, just stay up here and line up so we can have a nice photo opportunity. East Fannin, Mr. Matt Price. West Fannin, Mrs. Allison Danner. And Fannin County Middle School, Mr. Mark Young. And Fannin County High School, Dr. Scott Randall.
All right, and then I'm going to present the final certificate to
Yeah, you didn't do that like that.
Kind of a
board and join us. Thank you. Now, Principal, be sure to hang those up.
Right. And then each school should have a nice trusty frame somewhere in the school building to put those in.
All right.
Yep.
Mr. Roof, thank you. All right, our next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is the school governance team update. And for item number 6, we're going to ask Deputy Superintendent Sarah Rigdon to come to the front. Ms. Rigdon, good evening.
Good evening, Board.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So the school governance teams have been very, very busy over the last month. So here is a snapshot of what's been going on at all of the schools. At East Fannin, the team did look at first day pictures, and Mr. Price did talk to his team about their first day of school and coming back. They looked at some Title I components that are required, such as the parent compact, parent engagement plan. They also approved their school improvement plan for the year. If you'll scroll down a little bit, Mr. Inslee. At West, they approved their SGT handbook. Also, the team was given lists of compliance director modules. They approved their school improvement team as well. They also talked about some of the field trips that will be taken this year, and the elementary dress code was then revisited by the SGT at West Fannin. And over on the far left, as we scroll through, you're going to see a variety of fundraiser requests, field trips, and facility use requests that were done at each of the schools. I won't go through all of the details of those unless you've got a question about them, and I'll be glad to share with you some details about those because there are a ton of them since we were at the very beginning of the school year. So if we move on now to the next SGT meeting, that would have been at Fannin County Middle School. Mr. Young did a personnel update and told the team about some of the new members that they had added. They also discussed the role of the SGT when it comes to curriculum, and the handbook was approved. They also got to talk about the compliance director modules that are required. They did review and approve their exemption and grading policy for the 2021 school year, which was excellent, and attendance will not be a part of the exemption guidelines at Fannin County Middle School this year. Mr. Young gave an extracurricular update, a STEM update, a reading bowl update, a PBIs update, and also a COVID update. So later that day, another meeting at Fannin County High School. So Dr. Ramsey, he did meet with the SGT there. It was an extremely interesting meeting with lots of good information. The high school really did a great job of trying to compile all of their fundraising requests for the year and a ton of field trip requests and also facility use requests as well. So you'll find all of those listed at the far left side. At that meeting, Mr. Inslee presented information about CARES budget, and then also Mr. Danner presented to that team about SPLOS purchases at the high school, projects that they were working on. Ms. Collins talked about curriculum. Two student representatives did approach the team about changing their dress code. The students actually gave some examples of things they would like changed that were very specific. For example, one was to change the hem length of the shorts to allow athletic shorts and 6 inches above the knee and other shorts. Also, the hem length for dresses was looked at, 6 inches above the knee instead of 4 inches above the knee. They also addressed the strap width on girls' shirts, moving from 1.5 inch straps on tank tops to 3 inches, or instead of 3 inches. Also permitting holes in jeans, which is all the rage, as long as the holes were not above the knees. And so if you've got holes above your knees, you'll need to wear something underneath your jeans if it's above the knees. They also, Dr. Ramsey had one request, and that was a current guideline about wearing jewelry appropriately, because it seemed a little bit vague about what's the appropriate way to wear jewelry. After the discussion, there was a motion second, and also the majority did vote to amend the dress code as presented. As a caveat to that discussion, it will be revisited again at next month's SGT meeting at the high school, because they're looking at trying to streamline the wording to make it a little bit more easy to understand. And instead of saying something like 6 inches above the knee, perhaps mid-thigh, so that you don't have to drag a ruler out to make sure you're in compliance. That was a suggestion that Dr. Ramsey got from his school leadership team, and he's going to take it back to the SGT for them to look at. Mr. Bearden, you've got a question?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that measurement standing or sitting?
It would be standing. Yeah, it would be standing.
Because to me, there's a difference. If standing and it's a lot shorter, you're sitting.
Right, that could be very true. And so they're working on trying to make it very easy to understand so that people can be compliant, but also with realizations that standards for dress change across the years. And so it's really, really difficult to try to balance out what's available in stores versus what we're okay with on school campuses. So they're working hard on that. The SGTs are very aware that that's the one thing that's really totally in their way. Our board policy does say that we delegate that to our school governance teams, and it is up to the school governance team to make that and set that student dress code. And so they are working on that, both at high school, and next month the middle school will begin a discussion about school student dress code as well. Other things that happened: great presentation by Ms. Patterson and Mr. King, information about the STEAM initiative at Fannin County High School, which was an excellent presentation, and things that people are very excited about happening, trying to link subject area content all the way into real world, why it matters. And you'll see, look at all of those fundraiser requests and all of those field trip requests. There were a lot. High school also had an SGT call meeting on August 26th, and the purpose of that was to approve 2 fundraiser requests and a field trip request that had been left off their original meeting. Finally, we'll end over at Blue Ridge Elementary. Dr. Hodges shared the Code of Ethics and Conflict of Interest statements for SGT. She also discussed the Compliance Director modules. Ms. Ross, the parent liaison, went through some of the Title I components, such as the parent involvement plan and the school parent compact were approved. They also discussed school dress code at Blue Ridge as well, and Dr. Hodges reviewed the September calendar. So, if you have any questions at all about the workings of school governance team, and there's 2 other documents on here too, just for your reference. One is the SGT meeting dates across the year. As you know, we do have scheduled meetings, and they are always public, open to the public. And so right here, you'll find all of them listed, the dates, the time, and the location for all the meetings that are scheduled through the school year. Remember also that SGT meetings, if we are ever in a situation where we cancel school and an SGT meeting is on that day, that meeting is canceled. Finally, the last document, I've shared most of this already, was the new members for this year at all of the teams. Remember, school governance teams have 7 members, 2 parents, 2 faculty and staff, 2 community members led by the permanent chair, which is the principal. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I have a question, but I have a comment. I think this is something that really messes up school system. When I first saw it, it was first organized, I had my doubts about it, but people really turned out and took part in it, haven't they?
They have, and actually we are seeing a little of an uptick in people attending our meetings. Our meetings are public, just like these meetings. We would love for people to be a part.
There's a lot of people involved in that process, and we certainly appreciate their involvement, and we appreciate your leadership over it. So,
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
Next item, number 7, Mr. Chair, is School Happens, and this month it is Blue Ridge Elementary School. It's our first one for the school year, and we'd like to welcome Dr. April Hodges to the podium. Good evening, Ms. Hodges, Dr. Hodges, and the floor is yours.
Good evening, Board. I'm happy to share some information about our start of the school year at Blue Ridge Elementary School. If you recall, in the past, each spring, we let our students have the opportunity to nominate themes for our next school year, our upcoming school year. And so last spring, we let the students throw some ideas out there, and then all of the student body and teachers got to vote on our theme. And this year, our theme for the school year is Unleash the Superhero in You. And we use that throughout our decorations in the building. We use it to kind of frame our events and kind of just permeates everything we do throughout the school year. And so you'll see some of that as I go through the presentation. And the students are super excited to get behind our theme. And even as we end the news each day, they have like some motions that they do, and that's how they end and get end the news and get the school day started by saying that all together. And it's pretty neat to watch. We started back the school year as excited as ever. We were so glad to welcome students back into the building and have new teachers and new faces come in. It was a very successful start to the school year. We enjoyed having our parents come in that first week of school to help the students adjust to coming in the building, and it went extremely well, so we are real excited to get started. I shared this. Ms. Rigdon in the spring last year asked our leadership teams and just our leadership in general to consider what we wanted students to look like when they left our building. She asked us to look at the things we offer them, how we train them, what we teach them, and just the different exposures that they have while they're at our school. And so we came up with this graphic, and I thought it was a great representation of who we are at Blue Ridge Elementary School and what we try to do. And I wanted to share that with y'all because I felt like this is a really good summary of what we want students to look like when they leave our building. We do all of these wonderful things, and we pour all of these things into our students with the hopes that they leave successfully at graduation. So I wanted to share some of the new things that we have in our building. We have new staff, we have new activities that we're trying out this year. And so one of the things I wanted to share were our new Read posters. If you recall, a few years ago, we started our Read campaign where we hung posters of our staff reading books in different environments in the summer and things like that. And so this year we gave all of our staff superhero masks, and we had them go during the summer and take pictures of them reading their books in different places. And so we have these hanging up throughout our building, and it's really cool. And it's neat for our students to identify with our staff doing the same things that we're asking them to do. We have our new loo installed, and we are using it quite well. Ms. Minear started off the year by sharing the Olympics with our students in PE class. And then if you look down below in the left-hand corner, they actually got to do some rowing just like they had just watched from the Olympics. And so she's done a really good job to relate just to things that are happening in the world. If you see the other two pictures, students are interactive with the board. They're practicing things like multiplication facts and greater than, less than, while they're throwing balls at the rabbits that pop up out of the little holes. And they're even using it as a timer and just as a guide while they're doing their warm-ups for PE. So it's been really fun to watch them use it, and I think that we are just beginning to realize the abilities and capacities it has for us in our PE class. We also got our new book vending machine. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony last week to kind of open it up. Our students are super excited to be able to earn tokens, whether they're doing it through good behavior or reading and earning tokens by reading so many minutes or so many books. They're super excited to be able to earn the tokens to buy the books out of the machine. And we plan to keep it fully stocked so they are accessible. We did start something new this year. This is not something that I had heard of until we started investigating it. I know that you've probably heard of accelerated reader and maybe even reading counts. Our students have been doing that for a long time, where they read the books and then they're taking tests and earning points. We wanted to try something different because students were not motivated by that program anymore. And so we were trying to find ways that they might be motivated to read and even do other things in the building. So Mr. Parker researched and found this program called Beanstack, and it is a digital portfolio where students can be challenged to meet certain criteria, and they earn digital badges. And so it's a portfolio where they can collect the badges over time. Our first challenge that they have is to read 300 minutes by fall break. And so students log into the program, they log their minutes, and if they meet that challenge, then they'll earn a digital badge. And Mr. Parker's also creating physical badges so they can collect them both. It reminds me of patches that you might earn after you demonstrate some kind of skill. We are even going to incorporate STEM activities and STEM challenges. Maybe you go home and you build something with your family and show evidence of that, and you can earn a badge. So we're trying it. We're going to see how it works. We don't know if it will be successful, but so far the students have really enjoyed it. We had our Title I curriculum night. It was great to be able to have this in person this year, where the parents and students were able to come into the building. We did a digital scavenger hunt where they went throughout the building to learn about the different types of things they would learn in each grade level. We even did fun challenges like thumb war, pick up trash on the campus. It was rainy that night, so we didn't get to do meet the chickens and things like that, but we did have other activities that were fun that they were able to do. And we had a great turnout. It was a lot of fun. We still have our STEAM program up and running. We have a new teacher this year, Ms. Barbara King. She has gotten off to a great start. It's been really good to watch her kind of develop the program and make it her own. You see, we have kindergartners learning about fluency. We have students that are still harvesting our produce, and we're selling it in our little market in our lobby area. We had pollinator census where we had guests come and help our children learn how to count the pollinators. And then we also have a new drama, art, and music teacher. And in the top right corner, you'll see our students. They wrote and acted out their own puppet shows, and they are super excited about that. We were glad to welcome the North Georgia Honor Guard back into the building. We actually had hosted them in our outdoor classroom, and they taught our students about the importance of the flag and patriotism and how to care for it correctly. And our students always really enjoy this opportunity, and then they're able to take care of these things for us throughout the school year, and they're super excited and quite responsible with it. It's been really good to watch them do that. I also like to thank you all and our SPLOS Fund for all the projects that were completed from the spring throughout the summer. We were able to do a lot of things on our campus that improved the way it looked and how it functions. And if you haven't been able to see the things that were done, it really, really looks nice. It's made a huge difference on our campus. And last but not least, I wanted to introduce you to our newest little bear. This is Mr. Rhett Tipton, Miss Tipton's new little baby. She's been dearly missed on campus, but she is doing some wonderful things at home, loving on this little bear. So thank y'all for your time.
Well done. Great picture. Sweet. Board, do you have any questions for Dr. Hodges?
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hodges. Okay, next item number 8 is district health update, and we're going to have Mr. Ruth come back up to the podium and share some information with us. Good evening, Mr. Ruth.
Let's see, Mr. Ennis, let's start with what we typically start with, the website and the COVID-19 data. So just a reminder, board, that we do have, for anybody in the public can go onto our website and look for the previous day by school or overall. And just also as a reminder that what we're reporting here are the confirmed cases of COVID-19 that have been reported to us. So I know that's what we're reporting. So that there is some that there could be cases that are not necessarily reported to us. We're reporting what we have available again, that comes to us, and making sure that we're very transparent with what comes to us when it comes to our data there. So again, there's a link there for every school in terms of the new confirmed cases for that day. Just a reminder that is there for the general public to see at any point. And again, it is lagging from the previous day, and I want to say thank you to Heather Finley for her work on that as well. Also, we have the graphs from the Weather Channel data that keeps up with the COVID-19, and here's Fannin County. Again, I know you see those spikes there, talking with some healthcare professionals. Just a reminder that what we really want to pay attention to is that 7-day average, that red line that moves through the spikes. And as you can see, we do have a 7-day average back up to 24 new cases per day. There, you see that major dip that we had, but then talking with some of the healthcare professionals, that those two spikes there at the end of the graph, those are primarily procedural, because right now it's very hard to find a rapid test in Fannin County. So most of the tests that you have are back to the PCR test, where you don't get your results back for 4, 5, 6 days. And so a lot of those two spikes could very well be people that got a test possibly 6 days ago, and it's just showing up now. But again, not to get into the weeds with as much of that. What we want to look at is that average, that daily average.
Are those
Yes, sir.
those clear spots, is that weekends?
Yes, and so that's another thing to look at. That's a good point, Mr. Deweese. If you look at that big gap there, it's because data was not collected for Labor Day. So you're looking at a 3-day gap right there, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and so that's another thing that could possibly be, because that spike there is really collecting 4 days worth of data, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all into one day. So that's another thing we have to be aware of when we're looking at this graph.
So that means that the end school time is not necessarily when it moves to spike. The weekend, the days out of school potentially could be.
Correct. I mean, I don't have enough information to say if that's true or false, but that's definitely something to be aware of, that COVID-19 doesn't just exist Monday through Friday, that it also definitely exists on Saturday and Sunday as well. And Mr. Inslee, I think if we just go up to the top link, and this is just something just to make sure that everyone's aware of, part of the plan that we had to put together going into the school year, which was called, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Rigdon, an ARP plan. And so part of that, we had to provide a reopening plan in terms of COVID-19 for our 21-22 school year. And so we've put this in on the board agenda for anyone to look at here. And it primarily just focuses on the different mitigation strategies that we knew for a fact that we were going to use going into the school year. So that's all in this plan here as it states. And the only other item I have is just to read here that we are reporting, as we said, our data every day from at the school level. We're also reporting our data every Friday to the health department and to the Georgia Department of Education. We are still encouraging students and employees to stay home if they are sick or exhibit any contagious-like symptoms. We analyze our data. We look for COVID-19 clusters and patterns, and we continue to use fogging machines to disinfect, sanitize, and clean. We're continuing to monitor data and speak with local health officials on a consistent basis. In addition, we have spoken with Agent Kevin Stanfield, our Area 6 Homeland Security Coordinator, regarding our procedures surrounding COVID-19. We are extremely thankful for that relationship and being able to speak with Agent Stanfield when it comes to again, our procedures when it comes to COVID-19. When it comes to the differences in procedures between last year and this school year, with the expiration of Governor Kemp's executive order that once put us under an official state of emergency, according to multiple layers of legal advice, we do not have the same legal wherewithal to function the way that we functioned last year. We are currently doing what we feel is best for our students in Fannin County from all angles. We feel as though we are doing what's best for the entire child, the whole child, if you will. With that said, we have started a modified contact tracing process in the Fannin County school system, and if a student or employee is deemed to be a close contact to a confirmed positive case of COVID-19, then that student's parent or guardian or the employee will be notified. At that point, the student's parent or guardian, or the employee themselves, will have two options. They will be allowed to quarantine if he or she wishes, and will be given the dates of his or her quarantine period. The quarantine will count as an excused absence for students. The other option would be they would be allowed to continue coming to school as long as he or she is not exhibiting any contagious-like symptoms. And then obviously, if a student or an employee begins exhibiting symptoms, then they would need to stay home, would be asked to stay home. We have hired a contracted employee, Ms. Michelle Lynn, to help us take care of this contact tracing process, and we're very thankful to have Ms. Lynn step in and help out with this. And so I just want to end also with just saying thank you. Thank you to all of our school employees for how hard everyone has worked this year. It's been a team effort, and we know that. And what we've been able to provide the students at this point to make the very best education for our students, we know all that has had to go into that from every angle, every level. Our teachers, our parapros, our secretaries, nutrition staff, bus drivers. I just want to say a big thank you, and I know we all want to say that thank you when it comes to pulling together and doing what needs to happen for our kids.
Thank you, Mr. Rick.
I just walked through the high school, and it is clean. And there's nothing additional, has to be on the floor. Looks like it's just clean.
And that's a shout out to our custodians and our maintenance department for sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On the reporting for the students, is there something that they can go on, like as a parent, I can go on and see who has COVID, who doesn't have COVID?
The actual names of the individuals?
I had a stockholder ask me because her said her
We can't get that detail.
Okay.
All that we can do legally is report down to the school level like we have on the website, and then also legally we can, if your child was deemed a close contact to a positive case, we can tell you that, but we're not allowed to tell you who the positive case was. We can't tell you the name of the child or the employee.
Would the parent be able to see that?
No, sir, not
Okay,
that I'm aware of.
that's what I was just trying to clarify.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Rick? Clearly, there's a huge amount of planning and monitoring that goes into this, and I'd like to commend you for leading that. Certainly, the results of it, we just saw them in the school update, which you saw at the Ridge Elementary School. We're doing our best to have school in the middle of all this, and I'm thankful for that for the kids. So, good job, Mr. Rick. It's a lot of information. I appreciate that. Okay, our next update is from the technology department, and it's Ms. Finley who's going to give us an update on communications with the community from the school.
Central update is short and sweet this month. We just wanted to remind our community of our communication methods when we have to close school, which once upon a time just used to be for inclement weather, but now there's all kinds of other reasons we might have to do that. So we want to start off in our school year making sure people know. A majority of people with bad weather is there sit there and refresh their Facebook feeds waiting for that information to come up. But if you're not doing that, we do send a call to every emergency contact on each of our students. That's usually about 2 different phone numbers. That goes out really quickly usually. I know that when I send the call, my phone usually gets called within about 5 minutes, unless there's like a major storm and lots of people are using the system across the United States. At the same time I'm sending out those calls, Ms. Marianne Walker is updating our website. So if someone goes there, there's a banner that pops up. Ms. Miller, I think she still does that, is calling all of the TV stations and radio stations and letting them know, so that information is posted there. It gets posted on Rebel Radio, and then of course all 3 social media sites we posted there. So we really feel like we cover our bases getting that information out, unless I forget the hotline, which is there. I actually saw a Facebook post the other day with I think a tropical storm was coming through, maybe a lot of rain. We were having a lot of rain. And I saw someone post that they had been dialing the hotline number, and I was like, keep dialing it because it's not going to change. But
It's an optimistic student.
I guess so. It was an optimistic teacher, actually. So, anyways, but so we do have that still. And so those are our ways we communicate. Also, just to remind people that we do now, if we're not in school, we can have an online learning day. And just last week, our elementary schools worked really hard. I mean, really hard, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week of making sure that all of our 3rd through 5th graders were checked out their Chromebook and were able to take it home. So now every student in grades 3 through 12 has a Chromebook assigned to them and can take it home, and they'll be able to do their work online. And in addition, we have over 150 hotspots available for checkout. So if they do not have internet connection at home, they can check those out as well.
That's incredible progress from that last technology director they had up there.
I know. I don't know how they survived for 11 years for them.
Good. I'm proud of that and proud of you. That's good.
But that's it. And if do you have any questions?
Ms. Finley's I'm sorry.
No, I had a quick comment. I was just going to tell you, when my daughter was still a student at Fannin County High School, we had a call board meeting one morning through the week, and my phone buzzed, and I glanced down, and she said any responsible board member would be monitoring the weather. A few snowflakes had started to fall. Everyone loved the snow day better than she did.
Yeah, if that starts happening during the school day, the teachers just have to kind of go over and close the blind.
My kids, when they were in school, their friends would constantly text them and say, are we having school tomorrow? Are we having school tomorrow? Like, I was the person that decided if we got school or not. I'm like, I just make the call. Someone's got to call me. So, but their friends always thought they might get the information before everybody else. So.
Heather's the new 5:30 a.m. voice of Fannin County.
Which I'm not a morning person, so he knows to call me at like 5:15 to wake my voice up.
Yeah, I go ahead and get her going so she can get some coffee brewing.
Got a little system.
But back in our day, there's several of us in this room that remember the voice of whether you had school or not was 103.9 Bob Schwab. The gentleman that was on the air, and we would tune in and hope to hear him say something to us about it. So, all right, so any other questions or comments? Presentation. I really do appreciate the variety of ways that the school district works to reach out to parents. Thank you for your leadership over that. Okay, next up, board is public comment. Mr. Danner.
We've got one public comment, Mr. Aaron Lewis.
Okay.
The topic is children's books.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Danner. Hello, Mr. Lewis. Good evening.
How are you?
Yes, sir. Doing okay. All right. We'll go ahead and start a timer, and we're going to turn the floor over to you.
We open this meeting in prayer. We said the pledge. Everyone stated, one nation under God. You may say that there needs to be a separation of church and state, but church belongs in every state. Matthew 10:32 through 33 says, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. Whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before the Father which is in heaven. Revelations 3:15 and 16 says, I know thy works. He knows your works, that thou art neither hot nor cold. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then because thou art lukewarm, neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. First, I would like to thank all the parents who stood in the gap for their children about the Turtle Book. I'd also like to thank Scott Ramsey, even though me and you never always got along, for making the decision to pull the book that the freshmen were given last week, Turtles from Down Under. I challenge you to look at that book and read that book. Challenge you to. Parents, board members, know what your kids is reading. Know what you're in here for. It's your job while you're in here. We voted you here. As a parent, I would like to know who approves a reading list of the books that our children read? Is it a community or is it one person? Who determines if the content is appropriate? How do we keep this from happening again? The 2 books so far that the freshmen have been given to read are not appropriate in my opinion. The Unwind, write that one down, read that one, and Turtle from Down Under. Write that one down. You need to look. I'm telling you, write it down, read it, know what they're reading about. I know our children hear language like this and what's in the book, but I don't want our children saying that. Is it right for them to say that to a teacher? Is it all right? I guarantee you that when I was a kid, if I'd have told the principal F you, I got suspended. So why is it all right for our children to read it? My family don't watch movies with this language. We don't listen to music with this language, nor do we speak to our children with this language. I don't appreciate the school system. That's y'all saying the language is all right by telling them to read these books. And they were told to read the book. They had to read 70 pages in 1 week. So they were told by their teacher, who they look up to read these books. Y'all approved it. Y'all said it's all right for them to do it. I don't condone this. What would happen if our children got up and used this in front of a teacher? Think about it. Think about it. Finally, saying that you're a Christian or a believer, because we've all said the prayer, didn't we? We all said the prayer. We all said that we're one nation under God. Sunday morning, take the Unwind or the Turtles from Down Under, either one you want to. Stand up in the middle of your congregation at church and read about a page of this book. Would you do it? No, you wouldn't. The Lord's right here with us right now. He's everywhere. So if He's in church, He's here with us. If we're one nation under God, and we're going to say we're Christians, let's be hot. Or if you're cold, but that's being lukewarm and wishy-washy, makes Him throw up and puke. Stand on who you are. If you're going to say you're a Christian, stand on it. We all pledged, we all prayed. Let's stand on it, folks. It's time.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Daniel? Good evening, board. Facilities update, going on last month again. Some of these pictures are old because we can't keep up. This one's not real old. Blue Ridge had another water leak. I think Ms. Hodges is doing this on purpose. So we've got some major issues there at Blue Ridge. The maintenance department got that done very quickly. We did, actually it was one day I had it fixed, turned the water back on, it blew back out. So again, I got to give credit to the maintenance department. It did take a good full day. Here's up at the CTA building behind the building. Used to be an old flower bed, I guess what it was called, but it was pretty rough. That's right there at the welding lab. And so we got that done there for Mr. Flowers. Here's a completed picture of the striping of the PE facilities. The Car Rider Pro got this installed at East and at Blue Ridge, and we're data testing now. It is not fully operational. A lot of kinks and things there that the schools are working out. So again, hopefully that'll be coming out pretty soon. Here's the awning completed there at East Fannin. I think I showed you, but while it was getting put up, some pictures there, and also the striping was done over the weekend. So again, next month I'll have you a good updated picture of the parking lot there. Mr. Price wanted some special things out there, but we should have gone for it. Construction update again. These are a couple weeks old. I cannot keep up with them. That's the permanent structures for the power lines coming in. That's at the entrance to White Fleet, the transportation facility. Again, that's on the transportation side down at the Valley. Bus pad transportation facility. Hydroseeded all the retention ponds. Go ahead, Richard, just right through there. That's the back, that's over behind the fueling station or transportation side. And transportation, again, this tells you how old it is. If you've been out there in the last 2 weeks, again, that was the first couple pictures of the first beams going up. And now we've got the rafters going up on the existing boardroom, waiting on the paneling to put up or the decking to put on there so they can start insulating. They've started doing some wiring inside. So again, things are moving along. The week of September the 21st, hopefully the transportation building will be here. So that'll be start erecting up. So again, just a lot of movement going on. Still a lot of dirt being moved as well. There's that one, there's a one rafter there on the far left going on that. So if you've not been out lately, run by and take a look at it because it's pretty amazing.
Is all the wiring underground?
I'm sorry, Mr. Woods.
Is all the outside wiring underground, all of it?
From that pole that you've seen on the transportation side, it'll be underground from there. Same thing on the staff development center side. So there'll be one pole that's close to it, but it'll be underground into that pole.
Is that it?
That's the one on the transportation side, correct. And then, of course, that's up on 76. I don't think I took the picture there on the staff development center side.
All right. Board, any questions about facilities or construction? Mr. Danner got 11 and 12 sort of consolidated there. All right. Mr. Danner continues on. Item number 13 is surplus equipment at the middle school.
Yes, so this goes back to, we had a board approval to surplus the lockers there at the middle school and in the gym for the boys and the girls dressing room. So we put that out to bid. We had a bid opening this past Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock and we received one bid. So Mr. Bobby Bearden was the only bid. And so $50 for the boys' locker room, $50 for the girls' locker room for a total of $100. So since that was the only bid and plus it was a request from Mr. Young to get rid of those lockers, I would make that recommendation.
All right. Do we know this gentleman, Mr. Chair?
I don't have a clue.
We're going to ask that Mr. Bearden abstains.
He will abstain.
Yes.
Yes, he will. So, Mr. Chair, I make that recommendation. We had the bid opening, it was public, and we did receive one bid. So, make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Do the chair have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do you need more discussion? Not all in favor?
I'm getting heckled by the principals there, so.
I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Young, I won't be there at 8 o'clock in the morning.
8:30.
So
I'll
you
be there
had,
at 8:30.
sir, you had 4 approvals?
I do. Yes,
So, okay, so will you be an abstention?
Yes.
4, 0, and 1. Thank you. All right. Item number 14 actually involves both Mr. Danner and Ms. Williams.
Good evening, board. How are you all? It's good to see you this evening. We have 2 memorandums of understanding between the Fannin County Board of Education and the Georgia Department of Public Health. Each year, the official code of Georgia requires that school systems participate in screening our students that are high risk for scoliosis. And this addendum that we have, our little memorandum, will allow us to work with our public health to ensure that we meet that.
Okay, so that's the first of 2, and this is for scoliosis, and you'll remember it's the same as last year, the same as for many, many years that this has been presented to the board. And these screenings are done by the health department.
With our nurses.
With our nurses, that's correct. So, any questions about that particular agreement? Okay, thank you, board. We'll go to Mr. Danner then for the second annual memorandum of understanding with the health department.
Yeah, this is if there's ever a catastrophe in the county, this has been going on for several years, that the middle school in West Fannin could be used as shelters. I was in an EOC training a couple of weeks ago, and there's 27 sites in Fannin County that could be used for shelter. So again, I think they would only use the school if it's an absolute emergency. But if it's a catastrophe anyway, we're not gonna be in school anyway, and we're not gonna be in session. So again, that's what that is.
So, Mr. Chair, we can approve both of these together. Yes, sir. So I recommend to approve both the memorandums of understanding with the Department of Health as presented.
Can the chair have that motion?
You do have that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Banner is going to remain with us then for the next item, which is number 15. Let's go back to the hay bids, and I know that Ms. Doss spoke also related to that last month. You had the bid opening on the hay bids?
Last month, yes, we did advertise for 10 days to see if anyone was interested in trying to do, the hay at the Neal property. We didn't have anybody, had one person call about it, but it was like 6 days late, and he really wasn't interested anyway. So we started talking around in-house and everything else too.
Well, and some of the people who inquired about the hay didn't necessarily want the hay, but wanted perhaps access to the property.
Correct.
Okay. So this proposal was developed. So tell us a little bit about what's being proposed.
Well, if there's not livestock on it, we're gonna have to bush hog. And to bush hog 70-something acres, it's gonna cost us an arm and a leg. So again, we, come together and sort of tossed around the phone calls that we got, is people would like to, possibly put cattle on it, take care of the property, that sort of thing, and would actually, pay us to use the property. But again, there's still some things in there. So we come up with actually trying to hire somebody as a property manager to make sure the fence, if they choose to put cattle on it or horses or whatever, they are to maintain the fence. They are to keep the grass at a certain level where they don't have to bush hog. So if they do choose to put animals on it, then they just have to knock the top off of it and everything. So it doesn't look like the ag facility, at this time of year. If you've not been to the ag lately, we'll wait till Thanksgiving to give it bush hog because it's very high. So again, if we can let somebody put somebody on there to let them graze on it, it will help keep that grass down and be ready for whenever the board chooses to try and do something on the property.
So basically what we're going to advertise is this request right here. Ms. Doss, you helped us design this.
Yes,
Do you have any other thoughts on this or this particular process or how this could?
Unless somebody wants to be a cattle farmer.
Or a rancher?
Yeah.
All right, so we're basically seeing, see what we get. Doesn't mean we necessarily have to approve it either, but let's just see what folks present.
I did notice on there that there won't be no hunting allowed, so I like that.
What is the liability? What's the liability of having someone like this?
Anybody who makes a proposal, they will have their own liability insurance, so we won't be able to accept it because we don't want to be liable for them using our property. So they would have to have some sort of liability insurance. Typically, it's a $2 million policy, what a lot of people carry anyway.
Having grown up on a cattle and poultry farm, that's very important because if an escaped animal gets on the road and causes an accident, then we would be liable. So that's a very important clause. I'm glad it's there.
If we would have some sort of hold harmless agreement, we're talking about the legal wording of documents, not legal other words that I get in trouble for. We'll make sure that we are completely in good on that.
So basically, whatever proposals we'll receive, we'd vet those with Ms. Doss, and of course, share those with the board, and then we can go from there.
So they'd be paid a salary, and then they can also enrich their salary by the use of the property.
Well, again, it comes back to see what we get. We might have people come up and say, hey, I'll take care of your property for free if you let me put my cattle out there. We don't know. So again, that's what
We're completely open on this, and that's how this is how it's been designed. It's just to see what people.
that way.
And I'll give Lynn the credit for that, Lynn Doss. Any other?
We need board approval on this.
Lynn, was it your suggestion that we go ahead and approve this?
Yes, sir, so then you can
Move
hopefully
forward.
start getting stuff out into the community.
And so Mr. Chair, I will make that
So you will bring
recommendation.
it back to us when you do have a,
Yeah, I don't think
Are
there's
we
any.
gonna, wait till October to approve this, or can that be done?
No, you can approve it tonight. And
Well, we-
really, truly, it's just sitting out there, so.
We have to have proposals though, is what Mr. Galloway is asking. So we would bring review the proposals and bring those
Correct. I
back.
mean, what I meant was you could go ahead and start asking for those.
so we could go ahead and advertise for it.
Yes.
Yes, and that's what this is.
Okay.
All right, so with that, Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval of the property management proposal, document as presented to begin this process.
Okay, can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
You need
I
to
got
discuss-
another question.
Go right ahead.
So we're specifically doing this for farming, like we won't be dragging no junk cars over there.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, trash and debris are excluded.
We will definitely, no permanent structures, no anything like that. We're asking for people actually to do us a favor, is to keep that property in,
I can see that, that's a good point.
No motocross tracks.
That's an idea. What are you doing after this? Let's let's get something over here, Mr. Cole.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
All right, thank you. All right, good job, Mr. Banner, thank you. All right, number 16, approve district financials. Let's have Ms. Wynn come up. Good evening, Ms. Wynn.
Good evening, Dr. Courtney Board. We have our July 31st financial report for our general fund at 8.33% of our fiscal year. Our local resources are currently at 4.14%. Prior year was 1.61%. Our total revenues are at 5.74%, and the prior year was 4.29%. Our total expenditures are at 7.22%, and the prior year was 7.40%. And I'll also point out these are the new financial statements, which includes our month to date, then year to date, our budget, and then the final column is encumbrances. So that's anything that a PO has been entered against. So for the general fund, we've got $10,500 in POs that are outstanding. And then we can continue. This is the capital projects. It is the same format. You can see our SPOS revenue, that's for July, the $804,000 interest. Our total POs that are open encumbrances is $61,484.80. And then our facilities, how much we've spent on construction. And then we have special revenues, and this is the same format. You've got $85,000 in open encumbrances. And if we scroll down a little bit further, you will see everything that makes up those special revenues. From your Title I, your IDA, and that list will grow as different grants are approved during the year. And then next we have our school nutrition for their revenues, budget, and their open encumbrances. And theirs is larger due to the school nutrition. USD requires school nutrition in place the first 4 weeks at the beginning of the school year. And that presents all of our financial statements for the fund.
All right, Mr. Chair, I recommend approval as presented.
The chair have a motion to approve our financial report.
So moved.
Do you have a second? Any more discussion? I'd like to say yahoo to that SPOS.
Yeah, well, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait.
What comes up next?
All in favor?
Thank you. Number 17, Ms. Wynn, presented for information.
Yes, sir. This is our SPOS that we have received in July, the last day of July, which would have been or the last day of August, which would have been for July, $838,070.37. That's a 20.3% increase from the prior year. And so we've already collected, since this SPOS started, $3,110,117.61. It just continues to break records.
Thankful for that.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's incredible. That is just,
I try to remember that when I get on the road and it's cluttered.
yes.
I try to think of that.
That's
Yeah. That is wonderful.
all right. Any other questions for Ms. Wynn? Ms. Wynn had a much shorter presentation this month.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wynn. All right, number 18, Mr. Foster.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening, sir.
Have a couple of requests for bus use. This is from our recreation department. They're going to use one of our school buses for during our fall break and Thanksgiving break to transport some of our students around. They will be responsible for the insurance and fuel for the bus and pay the bus driver, and it is one of our drivers, so she'll take good care of it and benefit our children. So I'd like to request that we approve this as requested.
And this is very similar, if not identical, to years past.
Absolutely, and to the summer program, we also
Yes.
allow them to use our equipment, so.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Mr. Chair, the chair recommend approval of this request for the Fannin County Recreation Department as presented.
Does the chair have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. The next request is for another agency that we partner with, and that is the Mountain Education Charter High School, or known as MEC. Mr. Foster.
Ms. Martinez has requested that we would provide a bus and a driver for this trip to the new University of Georgia campus. We'll have to take some students over there. It's a relatively short trip, but they will be responsible for the driver pay as well as the fuel. We'll bill that to MEC. So.
Okay. And, certainly happy to make that recommendation to help out MEC, Mr. Chair. Same terms. And I think MEC has also made requests with us in the past.
Absolutely.
Of similar nature, So make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair have that motion? Yes, you do. Have that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Foster. Our next item is number 20, to approve district vision, mission, and beliefs, and also the current strategic plan for the school district. So we're going to welcome back Mr. Root.
All right. Evening again, switching gears here a little bit. So this is our current mission, vision, and set of beliefs. And board, I know that you've seen these ahead of time. We have also at our district and school improvement team meeting yesterday, all of us had the opportunity to dive into the mission, the vision, the belief statements, and the individuals from that team also had homework ahead of time. So a lot of thought has already gone into, do we see a need to change anything on our mission, our vision, our beliefs? And so at this point, from our standpoint, we did not see any need to make any changes. However, this is also part of the whole concept of you being an exemplary board of education, having the opportunity to visit our mission, vision, and beliefs every year, along with the strategic plan. So, at this time, having the opportunity, again, that you gentlemen had to look at these ahead of time and analyze, we're coming here tonight to see if you would like to approve our vision, mission, beliefs, or if you see strongly to alter anything with those statements. You have the opportunity to do that too, and we could table and come back to this as needed. So I'm asking, now I guess do we want to take these all together?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as the board is okay with the mission, vision, beliefs. If there's a need to revise or edit.
I'm getting a lot of nods. No, I think we're good.
We're good. Okay. And then the leadership team concurred. I was present at the meeting, Mr. Root referenced. And so with that, then, Mr. Root, go ahead for the second part.
Moving into the strategic plan. So the other part of this board that you probably remember from years past that we do is this is a strategic plan. This is also part of you having the opportunity to become an exemplary board of education, is us having the strategic plan for our school system and you having the opportunity to be a part of this. So we do have, and I'm not going to go into all the details here. Again, you did have the opportunity to see ahead of time, but we essentially have 3 strategic goals that we look at. Ms. Rensley, if you can scroll back up, just goal 1 there, attaining a high level of student achievement, and then all the action steps that go into that. And then strategic goal 2, to develop organizational effectiveness, and all the action steps that go into that goal. And then also goal 3, ensuring stakeholder support and satisfaction, and all of the action steps that go into that goal. So similar to the mission, the vision, and the beliefs, we can ask for approval, or if you see the need to make any changes or alterations, we can also table and come back. Before I say anything else, I do want to give Ms. Rigdon a shout out, because a lot of the really heavy lifting that went into the strategic plan from years past had to do with her hard work with this. So I want to give her a shout out.
Mr. Chair, is the board okay with the existing
I'm good.
strategic plan? Okay, then with that said, I recommend approval of both as presented.
Would chair have that motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Good job, Mr. Reed. Item number 21 is also yours, and this is a unique opportunity that,
One more thing I wanted to.
oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Just showing, even in the midst of what we dealt with over the past couple of years, this is how we're Fannin County Schools. This is our percentage of level 3s and 4s and how we compare to the Pioneer RESA in the state. So look at that. Third grade math, fourth grade math, fifth grade math, where we compare to the RESA in the state. Now we see areas we need work in, but we want to show that, here, we had some areas to be really excited about. So I wanted to point out all those green percentages there, and also with sixth grade ELA in math, seventh grade, and then areas in eighth grade, and then going down to high school, also areas that are in green there with where we compare to the RESA and also to the state. So there's a lot to be proud of on that chart. So I wanted to make sure that we did have an opportunity to see that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, number 21 then, Mr. Reed, still yours.
Oh, it is, it? You stay up here again? All right. Thank you. All right, so this is a really exciting agenda item and a really exciting opportunity. We have 3 teachers. Let me back up. The Georgia Public Broadcasting, Ms. Megan McFerrin, I can just read it straight off of here really, one of the STEM coordinators with the Department of Education, has submitted a request to Ms. Karen Good, Ms. Amber Mitchell with West Fannin Elementary School, and Ms. Kelly Holsey with Fannin County Middle School to be lead teachers for a Georgia Public Broadcasting video project. This video project will feature top-notch PBLs, or project-based learning units, that tie into the Georgia Standards of Excellence. The PBLs shown in the video will serve as an example for others throughout the state. 10 PBLs were chosen throughout the state. 3 of the 10 that were chosen are right here in the Fannin County school system. If approved, then this will be considered contracted work with the DOE. Thus, each of these 3 lead teachers will be receiving $1,000 pre-tax from the DOE, again, if approved. Therefore, we are submitting this request for your review and approval. And if you remember, we did something similar to this with Ms. Kim Patterson last year.
So, we're the example in 3 of the 10 selections for the state of Georgia. What an honor that is. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is they're going to be filmed doing their job for our kids. And so, but in order to accomplish that with all the logistics and the ethics and legalities that are involved in something like that, it requires board approval. So I'm happy to just show this off.
With three of the 10 coming from Fannin County, in agricultural terms, we call that fruition.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
And correct me if I'm wrong, principals, but all 3 of these projects are extremely agricultural based.
Exactly.
So,
All right, Mr. Chair, make that recommendation as presented.
Okay, can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
I'll second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Now, thank you for spearheading that, Mr. Root, and now you may leave.
thank you.
All right, our next one is we need to look at a revision to policy JBCA, so we're going to call Deputy Superintendent Sarah Regan back up to talk to us about policy. Ms. Regan?
Great, thank you. Board, this is a very slight change to a policy that's already adopted in the school system, policy JBCA, which provides guidance to families, the community, and schools regarding resident students assigned to attendance zones. And so the current policy states that if a student moves from one attendance zone to the other attendance zone, they must change their school they're zoned for at the end of that semester. So for example, let's say a student lives with a family on the east side of the county, they change residences in October, they would need to move to the new school beginning in January. Well, as you're most likely already aware, we do have a lottery system where families can choose to request that their child attends an out-of-district school, but that lottery only happens one time a year, and that's between June 1st and June 30th. So if a student changed their residence during that first semester, there would not be an option for them to be able to lottery and remain at their home school for the rest of their school career, or at least through that year. So we do not provide transportation to students who are living outside of their district. That is something that parents must do if they choose to attend an out-of-district school. So the only change that we're asking for on this policy can be found on the next page, Mr. Inslee. You'll see that we struck through the terms semester and instead said school year. So we would allow the student to stay the entire school year, and that would give that family an opportunity to enroll their kid in the school lottery. So if they wanted to stay in their home zone school, they could lottery in if there were seats available. So that's the only change to the current policy. It's substituting semester for school year.
And we're not requiring them to stay.
No, absolutely not. They could change immediately and go to the school that they're in the attendance zone for, but we would like to have that option so that students, if their family moves within that first semester, that they don't immediately have to be pulled out of the school that they already know with their friends, and they could, if they chose to, they could school lottery in, and if there were seats available, then they could take the transportation on themselves, and then their child continue attending the school of their choice.
Thank you. In my opinion, this is a good common sense revision that supports the child. So make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Chair needs that motion.
So moved.
You have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay,
Well
thank you.
done. Thank you. And the next one is yours as well.
It is. So board, it is time for us to begin our discussions about our local board training options for this school year. So if you will take a look, please, Mr. Inslee, if you'll go to, that would be great. No, well, it wasn't, but I can go with it. No, it's good. I can change. I can do whatever needs to be done here. Okay, so this is a quick look at what to expect at your board meetings across this next school year, listed out by month. This just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what to expect each month as you attend the meetings. Of course, this past month, September, we had a couple of things. One is reviewing the calendar. Also, as Mr. Roof just did, reviewing the system vision, mission, belief, strategic plan. And also something very exciting that will be happening coming up next week is we will have our District Teacher of the Year program. Can't wait for that on Tuesday night. But anyhow, you can look through each month to see what to kind of expect, and it paces us out to make sure that we hit all of our deadlines. So when it's time to do our application for exemplary board, that we're in good standing. So take a look, please, at the other attachment, Mr. Inslee. And this one is the all of the things that are offered through Pioneer RESA for local board training options. And so this is the exact same list as you saw last year. They have the same approvals from Georgia Department of Education, and they can sign off for all of the trainings that are listed here. One of the things that we would like to begin planning for is a board training date in October. And so we'll begin communicating with all of you about potential dates for that. One of the things that we are looking at would be the facilities planning for boards of education. That would probably be an excellent choice that's very pertinent right now to where we're at. And also, of course, trying our best to get out into the schools to see the good stuff that's going on down at the school level. So I'll be in communication really soon about potential dates. October is typically a gorgeous month weather-wise, and so hopefully we'll be able to set up our first local board training in the month of October. We do have to do 12 hours, though we can do more, but 12 is the minimum for us to be able to apply for the exemplary board status. So if we go ahead and get 6 finished now, then we will begin looking at what to plan out for the rest of the year. And so, but I will be back in touch with you and we'll get it scheduled.
And of course, when we do these, just mention the media is welcome, to attend these trainings with us.
So any questions or requests?
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have 24 and 25 have to do with technology surplus and then technology salvage. So 24 is the surplus. We're going to turn it back over. Welcome back to the floor, Ms. Fannin.
So, as we have in the past, last time I brought to you some things in June, and we have some things to add to it since school got started, and we got some new equipment out. So we have, I think 4 requests, yes, for surplus, which means we will post these things on Gov Deals. Thanks to Denver for showing me that. We've been very profitable selling our stuff that is no longer has a useful life for us, but people like to buy these things and refurbish them and resell them, and they make money off of them, and so they buy them from us. And so there's from 4 different schools. I think the East Van is the only one that has surplus this time. They had already given me most of theirs in June. And so actually it's interesting because this is the first time I think I've ever had a lot of Chromebooks on here, but we just had our very first Chromebooks that we bought a long time ago got reached end of life where they can't be updated any longer. And so we actually replaced most of those with some of the CARES money that we received from the federal government. So we're recycling those and seeing what we can get for those and a myriad of other things. So I just ask for your approval to surplus these items.
Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair, have that motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. And then the next list is your salvage list, Ms. Fannin.
Yes. And so I have requests from 3 different schools for salvage. And this stuff, we list something on salvage now, it's really, really not worth anything. And we have some TVs that, as you know, we have to pay people to pick those up from us. Some VCRs and DVD and VCR players. So we have those from East Fannin and West Fannin. A couple just things that we don't feel we can sell. And the last one there is from the high school. So those are just very small salvage requests. Actually, this is interesting that Matt had to revise his last week because one person could not part with their VCR. One person, one teacher was like, nope, not happening. There's one. It's
Wow.
Eddie Fannin.
How about that? Is there anything to play on?
Hold on.
I don't know. I guess so.
I know we still had VHS tapes in our school, but apparently we didn't.
Fascinating. Yeah, make that recommendation to approve the salvage list without the VCR.
Without, all right. Chair, have that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Fannin. Mr. Chair, the next one, number 26, is executive session, and I'm recommending executive session for the purposes of personnel, real estate, and then also a student matter that would reveal student information, which is protected.
Chair, have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Everybody ready?
While in executive session, no action was taken, so at this time I entertain a motion for us to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and I'd like to approve our minutes from our last executive session, which was on August 12th, 2021. So at this time, I ask for a motion to approve our executive session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Dr. Button, turn the floor over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
No action was taken.
Okay, Mr. Chair, our next item on the agenda is item number 27, that is personnel. I'll give everybody just a moment to open back up to the personnel sheet dated September 9th, 2021. Give everybody, make sure we're good to go.
Dr. Gladden, if you want to go ahead, I'll look off Mr. Brown.
Let's get to where Mr. Cole can see too.
Okay.
That's right there.
Yeah, click on it. Yeah, can you look on Bobby's?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Luis, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, so everybody has access to a sheet? Okay.
Plug them out.
That's what's happening here then too. So as long as they can see and Mr. Luis is good and these two can look, I'm good. Okay. Personnel sheet dated 9/9/21. We have resignation of Sherman Ray, effective date 10/1/2021. Make that and also, yes, just Sherman Ray, 10/1/2021. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Board, I'm just going to have to own it. I got to put my glasses on. So, next resignation is Kelly Wenzel, effective date 10/14/21. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, thank you. We have recommendations. These again are pending completion of paperwork and background check. For the position of teacher, 2 recommendations, Jeffrey Holloway and Kayla Majors. Make those recommendations, Mr. Chair.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay. For the position of nutrition department, Donna Rivera. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair needs that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right. And for the position of custodian at 25 hours per week will be Tim Wooten. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair have that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Recommendations for substitute teachers. Again, these are all completion of paperwork, background check, and training as pending for the requirement of the position. Kathy Henson, Samantha Henson, Brianna Hemphill, Ruth Holland, Alyssa Holloway, Carolyn Howard, Joy Marcus, Heather Ralston, Brian Tesserero, Amy Urano, and Kelly Wenzel. Make those recommendations with Kelly Wenzel being effective 10/15/21, all the rest being effective when requirements are met. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Chair have that motion.
You have that motion. That's a good investment.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Recommendations for substitutes in the nutrition department. Again, pending completion of paperwork, background check, and training. Christy Cook, Terry Ingram, Renita Staten, and Brenda Thomas. Make those recommendations, Mr. Chair.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. Recommendation for substitute transportation. Again, completion of paperwork and background check. Training, James Anthony Cheatham. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair have that motion.
You do have that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay. Recommendation for substitute custodian pending completion of paperwork and background check. Linda S. Chastain. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
So moved.
Second. Third.
Great. All in favor?
It's unanimous. Okay, we have some transfers now that we're going to talk about, and to discuss those, I'd like to ask Deputy Superintendent Sarah Riggin to come to the podium.
Okay, Board, as you will most likely remember, back in the summer, I think in July, we did discuss our ARP plan, which is the CARES 3 money. Part of that, we were required to spend at least 20% to address learning loss. Of course, our school system elected to spend about 50% of our ARP funds to address learning loss. One of the positions that we decided we wanted to add with these funds was the position of an intervention coordinator. That individual would be the one who would help to manage the interventionists who are working in the buildings, and also would be working with parents, trying to help them as they work with their student to get back onto grade level if they've experienced any COVID learning loss. And so we're excited tonight that we're transferring 4 people from teaching positions into the position of the intervention coordinator.
Go ahead and name those people.
Okay, so the transfers are at the high school, Ms. Heather Aids, at Blue Ridge Elementary, Emily Adams, at West Fannin Elementary, Millie Rice, and at East Fannin Elementary, Julie Thompson. And Mr. Mark Young is continuing to interview for his position. It is still open for application on our website.
Okay, and so once these transfers are recommended and approved by the board, then we will let those be effective at whenever works for the principal?
That is correct.
Okay.
And then we'll begin opening positions tomorrow on Frontline and on Teach Georgia as well for any positions that they have vacated that now would be considered open positions.
Okay, and there's one position that probably won't need to be opened back up?
That is correct.
Okay.
At West Fannin Elementary, there will be a transfer into the open position
Okay.
within the school.
Okay, all right, that won't require a posting then?
It will not require any board action or any postings.
Okay, so basically the names that were just given by Ms. Rignan, I recommend to transfer to the position of intervention coordinator, Mr. Chair.
Can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Okay, and that concludes the personnel. You good? Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Rignan. Congratulations, principals. It's going to help our kids. Happy about that. Comments? It's that time of year that we recognize our teachers of the year. And so, Mr. Inslee? Mr. Inslee's over that program. And can you share with us who our teachers of the year are and what's going to happen next week?
Yes, sir. Be glad to. Next week, we'll be unveiling our Fannin County Teacher of the Year. And we're super excited about it. We've been working getting the everything set up, the dinner and everything. So we're looking for a great event. And I do want to share the names of the individuals that will be the candidates. We have from Blue Ridge Elementary, Chris Parker, who's currently a media specialist. From East Fannin Elementary, we have Christy Holton, who's the STEM teacher. At West Fannin, we have Karen Good, who's a 5th grade math teacher. At Fannin County Middle School, we have Miss Brittany Newton, who's an exploratory teacher. And at Fannin County High School, we have Sabrina Howard, who is a science teacher at the high school. So excited to have them, and like I said, we will have our unveiling next week, and super excited about it. It's gonna be a great night. To me, this is a celebration like graduation for kids on, in May. This is where we get to honor the best of the best. It's just gonna be a great night.
So looking forward to that, board, at that. Another thing, and thank you, Mr. Edwards. Sure. Another that I'm looking forward to is the Reach ceremony. And Mr. Root, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we, as of hot off the press today, we were able to lock in the date and time for our Reach Scholarship ceremony, and that'll be October 27th from 9 to 10:30 at the middle school, and that includes the ceremony and the reception. So more information to come about that. Like I said, that's hot off the press.
Yeah, looking forward to that one as well. I'd like to thank tonight's presenters, Mr. Ruth, Ms. Rignan, Dr. Hodges, Mr. Fannin. I'd also like to thank public comment. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for coming and speaking with us. I want to give a special shout out, and it was alluded to during Ms. Finley, and I need to thank you for your presentation. And it was alluded during your presentation about WXFC 92.7. And I want to give Mr. Farnstead, Mr. Gibbs, and the student personnel who coordinate most of the activity on that radio station, I want to give them a big shout out. Notice I said most, but not all, because every now and then, Mr. Barnstead will get on there and do live radio. And every now and then, Mr. Barnstead and I will get on there and do live radio. And last Monday, Mr. Barnstead and I, along with Shannon Miller, got on there and did live radio. And let me tell you, we all know that Scott was a DJ, okay? He was a professional FM country music, 100,000 watt station in South Carolina, professional DJ. And you can tell it when you sit across the console from Scott and you're running a radio show, he does a fantastic job. And I enjoy going up there and doing that with Scott. But this person over here is a natural and did a phenomenal job on the radio. And I'm looking forward to our next radio show. It's going to feature Mr. Roof.
I'm not a natural.
I don't know. I think he's already in his head. He's already kind of going over show ideas, and we're balancing equations, or what did you say we're going to do?
That's part of
it. And so, looking forward to that. You did a great job, and that was a lot of fun, and it really was. And I think you were worried about it because the show was advertised as a 1-hour show. And 2.5 hours later, and I don't think you realized it was 2.5 hours, but 2.5 hours later, Mr. Barr says, I've got to go. Of course, we don't know how to run it without him, so the show was over. But you did a great job. And Scott does a great job on that radio station, and he does sound like a professional. So I want to give a shout out to 92.7 and the board and the SPLOST funds that bought it. Thank you again, board and Sarah, for what you're doing to be exemplary. I know that you're doing that for the kids and the citizens of Fannin County, and I appreciate you for that. And y'all, last month, Mr. Inslee gave us an update on the open house and the first days of school. And I had to have Heather help me come up with this number, but we have now exceeded 1/8 of the school year. We have exceeded 1/8 of the school year. Tomorrow is day 30. And we could not have done this without a strong and dedicated faculty and staff who loves our kids and who loves our county. We also couldn't have done it without the support of our parents, and we couldn't have done it without the help of the medical community. And to all of them, I say thank you. And most of all, I thank people for their thoughts and for their prayers, and for God for helping us get in here and do it. That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent reports tonight. Thank you all for working so hard under such difficult circumstances. Our children are the beneficiaries of your extra effort, and I know that it's great. I'm so thankful that we have such an incredibly efficient team, dedicated team. I think of you as my family. And I say that honestly. And the respect that I have for the other members of this board, I don't know how to describe it. And I appreciate all of you. I thank you for your support and your prayers, and wish you the very best. Let's keep our kids in school.
Well, first off, I'm looking forward to the Teacher of the Year banquet. It's my favorite holiday. And I'll say that different. They're the best of the best of the best that are chosen. So the ones that are not Teachers of the Year this year should be and will be eventually Teachers of the Year. That's my favorite year, and I'm looking forward to it. That's it.
I'd like to thank everybody that's here. Mr. Root, I always look forward to you presenting the COVID outreach, because I have people that ask me all the time, said, how are you doing in school? I said, we've got a team that's keeping track of everything, and when it comes time necessary to pull children out, they'll do that. And like Mr. Brown said, we got a family here, and we look after everybody that's here. Thank all the principals for being here, and I'd like to call Mr. Ramsey out on a good note. On a good note.
Okay. Held my breath for a second.
I just want you to understand that I've heard some good things about you, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I think you're doing a great job. You do. Thank all the other principals for being here. Mr. Lewis, thank you for standing up for children. That's what all of us are up here trying to do, stand up for our children.
We don't, who will?
You got it. You got it. And Mr. Danner, I'm going to call you out too. thing I like about Mr. Danner, he's one of those people that does it. I called him out before for seeing him do stuff, and I was coming out from the ballpark the other day, and guess who was over there working on the fence? Mr. Danner was. I like Mr. Danner because he's a doer, you know. And there's a lot of other people in here who are doers. And that's why we're successful as a school system. We got a lot of doers and not talkers only. I appreciate everybody. And I appreciate all these people sitting right here. Streaming. Thank you.
So, yeah, I want to say, Aaron, thank you for your participation. A lot of people don't, you know. We're working hard. We ain't perfect. We're doing our best. We just strive to do better. And I see a lot of hardworking people. And like you said, I actually had a teacher one time, Darren, text me and say, can you believe that I see Darren and Allison out there taking garbage out after hours? They noticed y'all going above and beyond, you know what I'm saying, to take garbage out. And it just hit me when he said that, because you are doers. I see a lot of doers, and you know, I could either pick out the little thing that I'm mess up or look at all the good things that are going on. And I don't want to let the little things spoil the big things, but I think we're doing pretty good. We're in school, and numbers going crazy, bouncing around, and you know, stuff going over. But I'm glad we're here in school, and I thank you for all your dedicated work.
You got something else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Say thank you to everybody that showed up, especially our principals for hanging in there this late. I know it's a school night. Thank you, and directors. I agree with everything that was said. It is a family. Mr. Lewis, I thank you for coming and speaking. Mr. Ramsey, I thank you for stepping up. You know what we're talking about, and I appreciate it. I really do. Mr. Danner, all that you do, I appreciate you. Stuff behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. So I know maintenance men are usually the silent ones that never get a lot of recognition, but I want to bring light to them, and I appreciate all that you men have done. So with that, I won't keep you as long. I do appreciate you, and thank you for all showing up. With that, I'll take the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?